Hello and welcome to our final episode of A Drink with Eddie Irvine in 2017, reviewing the Formula One season, in looking at some theories, not necessarily all true, but Eddie Irvine will give us his opinion on them. Eddie, first one I'm going to start with was because Sebastian was voted Driver of the Year. Well, you will now say we are German, so pretty obvious.
Well, Austria and Germany?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that leads me to our first theory, which would be Sebastian Vettel was the better overall driver than Lewis Hamilton in 2017, but had lesser equipment.
Oh, for sure he had lesser equipment. The better driver, I don't know. I don't think Lewis swerved into anyone, and all that's. Sebastian really let himself down. Image-wise, really let himself down this year with his antics in the car, out of the car. Very behaved like a spoiled brat. Um, it's frustrating for him. He had four easy world championships in a Red Bull, which is by far the best car, and he only had to beat Mark Webber, so he had to measure Mark Webber, so it was easy to win the championships. Now he's having to work for it, and Lewis obviously now has got the best car, and he doesn't have to work so hard. So it must be hard for Sebastian just to see it going away from him, and the chances he has. He's got to do He's got to do the perfect race to win. While Lewis doesn't have to do perfect races to win. Lewis has the speed advantage with the car, so it makes life when you're quicker. It makes life so much easier. You don't need to worry about the pace. The pace is there. All you have to worry about is all the other stuff around the pace, strategy, and keeping out of trouble and things like that. So when you got the faster car, life is not half as difficult. It's a tenth as difficult.
Yeah.
There was too big a performance difference between the two cars to really say who did the better job this year. But Lewis won the championship, and he didn't make very many mistakes, but he didn't have a lot of pressure, to be honest. So, but
It's
there you go.
interesting you used the wording spoiled brat because I remember it quite vividly was the same wording you used before Melbourne or during the Melbourne weekend. Anyway, staying with Sebastian Vettel's second theory would be Baku and other outrageous. Sebastian Vettel's greatest weakness in 2017 was his mental imbalance.
Well, I think that's just. Listen, if you looked at Senna, who everybody thinks was the best, did he have a perfectly, calm disposition under all circumstances? All the greats had flaws. If you look at probably who was the most altogether driver, Alain Prost, he probably controlled his emotions better than anybody else. At the same time as being incredibly fast. Senna, did he control his emotions particularly well? I don't think so. Sebastian's having that same problem. Michael was very good at controlling his emotions inside the car, but we've seen a few times outside the car, he would lose it.
And
But
then there's a major difference in that back then we didn't have pit radio, obviously. No one knows really how Senna was on the pit radio.
well, Senna mightn't have talked on the radio, but you seen from the way he drove, he was not making decisions that were not influenced by emotion, by some of his driving things, from some of the antics he did when he was driving. So, um, these guys, they're not superhuman. They're just racing drivers that can, they're good at turning the steering wheel and things like that. So, and there's an immense amount of pressure on them as well. They're reasonably young, and you're making decisions in split second, but their flaws are there to be seen quite clearly. They're on the world stage, and we see everything that they do wrong and everything that they do right.
Eddie, my next theory, there you're really an expert on, and I know that. Lewis Hamilton could be an even better race driver if he focused more on his job rather than jet setting around the world.
I don't know about that. He's enjoying his life. He's very determined to build a brand, try and like be a Beckham kind of character. He's very focused on trying to be big in the States. He's by far the most famous racing driver in the world, so it has worked for him, but he has had the success. He's got the power of Mercedes behind him, he's got the car behind him. Um, and he's working it. So when he retires, he's not a nobody. Um, I just don't know if he's got the assets that David Beckham has, for instance. Um, Beckham's very popular. Beckham never says a lot. He's like he never says anything controversial. He's always says nice things about everybody. While Lewis has an opinion and he uses his opinion, and then that's less in demand from marketeers. Like Kate Moss. No one ever knows what Kate Moss thinks because she was told a long time ago, don't speak.
Yeah.
You don't want to offend your potential clients or customers, I should say. So yeah, I don't know if Lewis can pull off the Beckham thing after he finishes racing, but he sure is working it hard now. And I don't. He he quite easily had the measure of uh, Botas. I think he's going to have a bigger measure of him next year. Um, so he should be able, if the car's right, he should be able to win the championship quite easy and still be able to fly to LA for the Oscars and do all the stuff he wants to do. So I don't really have a problem. As long as he keeps winning, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah. Let's stick with that for a moment. Do you think that you, back in your day, I mean, people were telling at least that you knew how to enjoy your life as well. Do you think you could have been a better race driver if you were focused more?
Um, I don't know. I was just talking with Malcolm today. There's a couple of things, and he was saying all the drivers are like that, where you just drive a certain way and you don't change your driving style from circuit to circuit. That's why certain drivers go well in certain circuits. And the last year in Jaguar, I completely changed my driving style just for Monza. I used to say, you know what, I'm just going to point and squirt, stop it, turn it, and squirt it out. I finished third. And I'd always really focused on getting into the corner as fast as I could. And that's why I was good in Monaco and Suzuka, places where there was no long straights, where the price of going in really, really fast didn't hurt your exit speed. So yeah, maybe I don't think I could have worked it out myself. I think there is a position that would the drivers don't use that they probably should use, where they have like a driver coach that really works through things with them in great detail, goes through video footage, has everything ready, because the driver doesn't have time. There's too much information to get. There should be like guys that really understand motor racing, that after a qualifying session they go and they look at how different drivers are taking different corners, and they can see who's the quickest through that corner, and discuss it with the actual driver to see if there is an advantage to be had. That I think there's definitely. If I had someone like that, it could have made a difference. Doing it all on your own, I don't know whether you would have had the time over a race weekend to really have been able to get all the information together. And you need to go through it with someone to bounce it off. And an engineer's probably not the right person. It needs to be another driver, and you really throw it around and then analyze. Okay, I made that. I went a bit slower in, but I got out quicker. Was that quicker? And what are other people doing? And comparing. And I think they're probably, but that's now, having thought about it for a long time. When you're in the heat of the battle and you're just trying to find that time, it's obvious things aren't as obvious as they seem after the event. And times have changed.
Yeah, actually, Williams did try with Alex Wards to have like a driving coach, but they never really followed it up intensely. Anyway, let's get on with it, Eddie. Kimi Räikkönen will never win a Grand Prix again. His contract was extended mainly because he's a comfortable number two driver for Sebastian Vettel. Do you agree?
Oh, I think Kimi's capable of winning a race. It'll have to be certain circumstances. The Ferrari will have to be a good car, or the Williamses, and Williams, the Mercedes are both out. I think Kimi can win a race or two.
Okay. Two final ones. Bernie Ecclestone is right. In the interest of Formula One overall, and I don't know if you have heard the story, but I guess so, Ferrari was helped from outside. And that was through a Mercedes engine know-how and B, through tailor-made tires from Pirelli. Well, that Pirelli thing is probably not known that much, but some people are talking about it. But the Mercedes engine thing ran through all the special interest media this summer. What do you think of things like that? Knowing Formula One from inside, knowing Bernie a little bit, and
I think Bernie's very mischievous. He's obviously not in charge of Formula One anymore. He's bored,
but he
and
was building up to this season. That's why I'm asking.
he will throw. Bernie always loved to throw in a hand grenade into the living room as he walked out. So I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if the Italy, Pirelli is Italian as Ferrari is Italian, and they have. I just cannot believe people that work for Pirelli do not talk to people that work for Ferrari. It would be nearly impossible to think that doesn't happen. Mercedes, I don't know. Maybe Mercedes needed more competition. There's no point Mercedes winning all the races with Bottas and Hamilton. They've got to be seen to beat Ferrari, and if they're beating them easy.
There's this famous story about Ferrari being helped by Honda in the early 90s. I think Gerd Berger was a major part in making that possible. During your years at Ferrari, was there ever anything like this?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. But you probably wouldn't have known even if it was going on, right?
I think I just can't imagine. I can't imagine because remember we had Michael Schumacher. No one was really wanting to help Michael Schumacher. He was a guy that didn't need much help.
Yeah.
No, I believe I would have known because I know things that were very sensitive things. So I don't believe so. Not in my day. It was, as I say, pretty much because Michael, even when he got in the '96 car, which was a piece of junk, he still won 3 races. So he was always a massive threat. I don't see anyone trying to help him.
Okay. And then final theory, and then that's it for this year, Eddie. And we're going to focus on the drinking rather than the talking.
Everyone's into these big theories of Trump, you name it. They're all like conspiracy theories these days.
Yeah, we have to try to get rid of somehow.
I try to get down to the nuts and bolts, the physics of it, because it's generally physics rule. Logic generally is what. There's always a reason, and people make up a load of bullshit because they can't be bothered to just look at the physics of the situation.
No, absolutely. And I'm not saying this is all my opinion or even our opinion, but this is something thrown into the room to have some discussion points, really. Anyway, final one, Eddie. Mattia Binotto, and I know you know him, would be a better Ferrari team principal than Maurizio Arrivabene is.
I don't think Mattia would even want that job. That's a very political job. He's a technical guy, and he's a great organizer, and he's done a fantastic job. Like, to have won the races they won this year, I was really impressed. The car, it wasn't a Mercedes, but it wasn't far away, and it was ahead on certain stuff. So I think he did a fantastic job. And I think just because he did a great job there doesn't mean that you move him. You keep him in the job that he does a very good job in. Maurizio Arrivabene, that's a thankless job to be in charge of Ferrari. Like, even Todd, I remember, he got his balls broken every weekend, and you wouldn't, a smarter, harder working man, you wouldn't meet.
But since when do you know Mattia? I know you've been working with him, but in what position?
He was my engineer. He was my engine engineer when I was at Ferrari in 97, 98, 99.
Okay, and even back then you've had a very high opinion. I think we talked about that before.
He was very good at what he was doing then. What he's doing now is a massive step, and I have to say I'm really, really impressed. For an Italian in that position is very, very tough, and to achieve what he's achieved is 20 out of 10, in my opinion.
Okay. All right, very interesting as always, Eddie. Been a pleasure and fun with you again this year. Just a final question: how are you going to spend New Year's?
I am going to my island with some friends, and we're just going to sit on the beach and drink some rosé, dancing mermaid rosé. No, for sure we will be, and have a fire on the beach.
Perfect. So enjoy that one. To all our readers, have a happy new year as well. And if someone wants to read a little bit more about those theories in German with opinions from Toto Wolff, Helmut Marko, and Norbert Haug and some other experts, check out our website, Motorsport-Total.com. That's it for this year. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks,
Okay,
guys,
see
and speak soon.
you next year.
Bye bye.